Hey all, Bryden, Homes by the Foot and Remax Central Real Estate. Time for a quick March market update. I would love to say same old, but what didn't happen in March? So in a nutshell, with real estate, supply is up. A lot can be credited to some interest rate drops and the fact that the Calgary builders have done a wonderful job bringing more product on the market. Demand is down. A little bit more on that later. The upshot was sales have dropped. That has not led to a great decrease in prices because we are still well above where we were in that unprecedented downturn between 2015 and 2020. But that created an enormous amount of demand, which was seen in the unprecedented last 4 years of a giant seller's market. So both of those are gone, and we've achieved the much sought after balance. So what does the balance do? It favors nobody and puts the pressure squarely on the shoulders. You need an agent who has got a large amount of experience, has a great deal of experience negotiating, and knows the Calgary area very well. Born and bred Calgarian with over 1,000 transactions to my name, and I love to negotiate, propaganda aside. So what led to the lowering of demand? Pretty easy to figure it out. The markets of any kind hate chaos, and that is all we've been living in for the last few weeks. If you just take a look at the stock market over the last few weeks, you have had trillions lost, a few trillion found, a few more trillion lost. It has been chaos. But how does that set it apart from the real estate market, which also does not like uncertainty? Well, the stock market reacts second by second on the news of the moment, whereas the real estate market takes months for things to settle out. And that's a huge advantage because the worst impulses, the worst threats have been more or less mitigated, because every time we're up against that cliff, that precipice of doom, if you will, with 25% tariffs, have either been kicked down the road, modified, or walked away from either just before or just after they've been implemented. So if you look at the big picture, some analysis have done. So if this has been the case, we've really seen implementation like that. So this is, yes, there's a lot of chaos in what is being announced, but in the practical case, a lot of the worst impulses have not been put in place. And a lot of the focus has now turned to a very high-powered battle with the US and China. So I think we're largely past this. Are you going to see price increases or decreases or increases, or like the stock market? Yes, but not to the same degree. Depends on the supply, depends on the demand, and that's where we're in microcosms within Greater Calgary. Depending on where you are in Greater Calgary and the segment you're looking at, you can find a little of both. And that's where I'll help you navigate those waters. But what do I think is going to happen a little bit longer term? The demand is still there. People have pulled out because of the uncertainty. And if we avoid a lot of the worst parts of that, then the demand is eventually going to come back to the market, which can see price increases. So yes, in a nutshell, now is the perfect time. And this is further backed up by what the Bank of Canada has done. They have announced, or they did, lower the lending rate last month. And there was much talk of doing it again this month. However, the Bank of Canada has pulled back simply because of what I have said. A lot of the worst impulses have been avoided, largely because of a great deal of pressure that has been exerted within the U.S. government, largely because of the northern border states who trade an enormous amount within Canada, and the fact that Canada's reaction, I think, has even shocked the U.S. We have become united like we haven't been in decades. So I think the risk of price increases far outweighs the price or the risk of price decreases. So for those of you who are waiting, now's the time to jump back in. So if you're buying or selling, it's up to this guy to do the best for you. And honestly, don't wait. This is a great time. Warren Buffett says he buys when things are like this. So, contact information is all over this email. Reach out to me. We'll talk to you soon.